Dodson Thomas research team are out on the streets again, talking to baby boomers aged 58 to 75 in Bristol, Liverpool and London. In many ways, this is the most interesting group for those of us that work in financial services. After all, they've got most of the assets, and they're undergoing a fiendishly complicated transition from working life through to retired life. And the fun doesn't stop there either, as they work their way through equity release, gifting assets to relatives, and finally inheritance tax planning.
As far as investments are concerned, to be honest, I've never found an advisor who added value above that which I can do myself, and certainly not to justify a significant fee. And it's true of many professional advisors, I think. I do have an accountant. I still run a tiny business which was based on my consulting. And the one piece of added value I got from my accountant was to use gifting, particularly as relating to the family home, to my children, as a way of managing my IHT exposure. So that was really useful. But generally speaking, I'm reasonably astute. I know my way around technology, so I can actually use technology to my benefit. I don't see what I can get.
Consolidated, I had 5 pensions, so the advisor advised me, they did an audit for me, and they advised me on which of them I should consolidate and which of them I should leave standalone. So 3 of them were consolidated into one, and they now they manage that for me on the platform that it's currently on. They do, so they'll be looking at that proactively. They'll be advising if they, every couple of months they'll advise on whether we should be shifting into different sorts of funds or whether we should be leaving them as they are. So if things are relatively stable, they won't give much advice on that. If they're much more volatile, as they have been really over the last 18 months, they're advising me quite proactively. I can meet them as many times a year as I want to. It's all the same flat rate charge, which is pretty good. They're currently also advising me on, I've set up asset preservation trust around my pensions. So they've advised me on and helped me to set that up. And next thing is we're going to be looking at setting up a trust around my will as well.
I was sold an endowment mortgage by a chap who lives in the village. And he convinced me that he got my best interests at heart. He knew a little bit about me. He knew that I wouldn't want to invest anything in armaments or anything that was damaging to the planet. And he sold me an endowment mortgage that he felt was absolutely perfect for me. And it most certainly wasn't. And I ended up about £15,000 short at the end. And was warned, I had letters warning me about it. When I tried to, there were lots and lots of bits of information about how to challenge that type of mortgage, and there were no fee people, the solicitors that would help. None of them felt that they could help me, so I approached my mortgage man personally and felt that he was kind of being quite emotional about resisting any attempts I had to ask him to account for it. And it made me very reluctant thereafter to use the services of a financial advisor, because I just now think that I don't really trust them.
Yeah, I think I'll definitely look at financial advice in 2.5 years' time, because although at the moment I'm secure and although my pension is probably going to be better than many other people, clearly I'll be slightly less well off, and although there'll be probably an absence of expenses to balance that slightly, I think I need to readjust slightly, look at my, it's always a good idea to look at your income, look at your savings, balance what you have and what you need. So yeah, probably in 2.5 years' time I will take some advice.
Aegon platform, I can look at my investments through an app on my mobile phone. You can sign in, it will give you the whole amount of all the investments, or you can look into each individual investment to see how that's performing. My advisor has advised me a couple of times where certain investments aren't doing as well as they should be, and a possible need to change them to another investment account, and hopefully the performance will do well, so it's more money for me then. So
I didn't exactly want to retire at 65, but it was company policy that I did. So I was given access to a financial advisor via the council, and via his advice I took his advice and paid off my mortgage and a couple of other little silly insurances that I didn't really need.
I have a pension scheme, a SIP, which is run by a financial advisor. That's very, very common. And what they've got to know is all the latest information about what you are and aren't allowed to do. And for example, if I say, well, can I invest some money in buying a business, they'll say either yes or no. They know the rules.
I was a police officer. In 1973, I joined the police in Hong Kong on contract terms, which meant that at the end of a tour I received a sum of money, 25% of my gross salary. I needed to know what to do with that sum, so I sought financial advice from a financial advisor, and I put money into the Pru bond with Prudential and a fund with GA, which is now Aviva. I no longer seek financial advice. I sometimes get the Lloyds Bank ask it because we have a rainy day funds which they think is big, but when I say I'm no use to a financial advisor because our income is very low, but they always ask if I want financial advice.
I say for me it's very important to find someone I can trust to deal with my financial businesses. I had experience even with my bank where I went to visit and this very young whippersnapper with the terrible fitting clothes and the terrible shoes look at me in a very patronizing way trying to be funny, and I'm like, no. For me it's important to find the right advisor, financial advisor. Must be like the most important point for me is a trust, someone that doesn't need to boast, on social or whatever. I don't like this kind of thing, but someone that is like a solid record and someone that can prove that is quite not only professional but competent and trustworthy. And again, I can ask friends and etc. But again, it needed to be probably something that being Italian, like this skin sensation, something like very epidermically, someone give me the right impression, that's it. And unfortunately I haven't found it yet, but yes, it would be important to me to find someone soon as where I can start to work and present all my mountain of paperwork with all the information that needed to be collated. As I described, is like a jigsaw, with all the tassel, they're all scattered, but they need to be put together, and it's quite big, because also, as I mentioned, there is not only the pension schemes and etc., but there are the property I have in Italy and etc., and so there is quite a lot to do.
I've had two good financial advisors. One retired and passed me on to a recommended colleague, and they've been great in that they've looked at things like the pensions, looked at other things to do in terms of when I've had cash available, how do I want to invest it, and so that's been really helpful. They did the legwork on consolidating the pensions, but also helping me to manage the funds that I'm in, the levels of risk that I'm looking at, where the money is actually placed, and just how I feel about progress against the market.
For those that reach out for financial help, there is lots that our industry can do to assist these people through their remaining life challenges in a manner which is both advantageous, tax efficient and rewarding for them.